I hit $15,000 a month online at 19 years old, and now I'm a little bit older than that, and I made over $800,000 online. And everybody thinks that as a byproduct of me doing that, I live some super glamorous life that you can post all about on social media. And I'm here to tell you right now that that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, when I started making good money and when I was in the range of making 10 to 20K per month, I'll be honest with you, I was stressed out of my mind. I was working my ass off, and I had to make a lot of uncomfortable decisions that caused me a lot of pain and uncertainty in the moment. And it seems like all these gurus on the internet and all these dickheads, all they want to talk about is the results that they're getting right now, the lifestyle, the cars, the watches, the money that they're making right now. But what nobody seems to want to tell you about is what they had to actually endure in their journey to get to that point. And so I'm here to share with you what that actually looks like from somebody who's actually gone through that process. And so my name is Trevor, and I found a good amount of my success through doing the business model of high ticket sales, which basically consists of two elements, being an appointment setter and being a closer. And so first, if we talk about the beginning phase, when I started finding my breakthrough in doing appointment setting, I was a full-time college student. I was also working part-time as a lifeguard, and I was doing appointment setting. And so this is when I started making anywhere from 3 to 5K per month as an appointment setter. But like, this is not something that you can really flex about on social media. And this is not like, my lifestyle was not great because I was still in college, obviously. And I was still in my like shitty dorm room that looked like a prison cell. I was still working my ass off every single day. Like, I had all my finals, I had to study, I had to do my homework, I had to do my lectures and my classes. I also had to work a part-time job as a lifeguard just to make enough money to be able to pay down my student loans and everything like that. And so when I started making money online as an appointment setter on top of all of that, it took a lot of freaking work, if you can imagine, right? It's essentially like three full-time jobs or three maybe part-time jobs all being ran at the same time. And so it definitely wasn't easy. But I ended up enduring through that. It took a lot of work, took a lot of effort. And when I started making good money online, then I actually quit those two things, which I'll talk about later in the uncomfortable decisions part. I'm more talking about the work side of things. When I started making good money, when I started making 5K per month, I saw the vision with it. And when I actually finished my school year, I quit my job as a lifeguard and I made the decision that I was going to take a gap year, but I was essentially going to drop out of college. And so I had the full day to now work on high ticket sales, which is when I transitioned into being a closer, setter, hybrid. So if you know anything about high ticket sales, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I did both appointment setting and closing on the same offer for essentially every single day. And this was 6 days a week. And what this mainly consisted of is 10 to 12 hours every single day of work, Monday through Saturday. And even on Sunday, I did some appointment setting still for an extra like 3 or 4 hours a day. And so obviously with that, it's essentially now like two full-time jobs. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. And so I say this to say is like, what you have to understand is there's going to be a period before you have the lifestyle, before you start really making good money and feeling like you have this guru lifestyle where you're going to have to put your head down and grind. Like, I now can maybe argue that I'm in a position where I live a good lifestyle because I don't actually work that much anymore and I have a pretty sick life. But in the beginning, like when I was really going through this grind period, I had to put my head down and I just had to work. I just had to do as many reps as I could. I had to get as much practice as I could. I had to build as many skills as I could, get enough experience as I could. And now I'm seeing the benefits of putting my head down and doing that work now. But you can't get the lifestyle without going through that, like putting your head down and grinding phase. So that's like the first thing. This is the unglamorous reality, and I'm here to tell you guys the truth about making money online. The second thing is the uncomfortable decisions that I had to go through, and probably the biggest decision, and the one that immediately comes to my mind throughout my journey, is when I first invested in a mentor to teach me how to sell. So I had probably 5 or 6 grand saved up, and I decided to invest with a mentor. And I think it was, I actually know it was $3,000. I think I had about $5,000 saved up. And so that was like literally most of my money gone. And I was also going to college. You have to keep in mind too. And so like I had in the back of my mind, like, yo, student debt is gonna come up if I don't find a way to make this work. And so I was extremely stressed out with this. Like, I would literally go to bed at night and I'm just like sitting there like sweating, like, dude, what if I don't make this work? What if I don't, you know, make this happen to where I find success? I get a good return on this $3,000 that I invested into the mentor. But I knew that I wanted to get to where I wanted to be, and I knew that I had to learn from somebody that actually was living that life. The mentor that I was working with was a full-time digital nomad. He was living in Mexico, making $50,000 a month with his online business. And I was like, dude, yes, it sucks that spending this $3,000 it like is most of my money. And on top of that too, like I'm actively losing money with college classes and everything like that coming up to play. And so I'm like, yes, this sucks, but at the same time, I'm learning from somebody that actively lives the exact life that I want to live. And so he's going to be able to help me get through that process. And that's exactly what happened. So that was like the first really thing that scared me. The second thing, and this was probably a bigger decision, but it probably wasn't as scary, was when I decided to actually drop out of college. So after I made 5K per month as an appointment setter, I finished off my school year. I was making, again, 5K per month, give or take, as an appointment setter. I finished off my school year that year. And so then I ended up going back home for the summer, and I lived with my parents doing so. And I really started thinking, I'm like, dude, if I just put my full day into doing high ticket sales and I just master more skills, get more experience, put in way more reps, just work like a dog, like, what am I going to be able to do? What am I going to be able to accomplish? And I was like, well, I could just keep going to college and just burning money and just wasting all this time and wasting all this experience for a degree that I don't even care about anyways. Like I was pursuing mechanical engineering. Like I didn't actually even care about that much. Or I can just discover what it would be like if I just dedicated an entire year to just going all in on something like this. And so I told my parents that I was going to take a gap year, but in my mind, I already made up that I was going to be dropping out of college. And now, obviously, this is a little bit uncomfortable because at the same time, like, yes, this sounds good on paper and this is probably the logical decision, but at the same time, you're essentially now forcing yourself to have no backup plan, no safety net, no college degree that you can go and rely on. And so to this day, I still don't have a college degree. And I actually attribute a lot of my success to that because at a certain point, you have to go all in. You have to commit to yourself that you're just going to go all in and make it work with no other option. Like for me, there were multiple times throughout my journey where I thought about giving up. I thought about quitting, but then it's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to college? No, I'm not going to go back to college for 3 more years and have to pursue that to then get a degree, to then have a 50-50 shot of landing a job. It's like, no, I'm just going to make this work. And so not having that safety net, not having that backup plan, not having that thing to rely on, ultimately it's super, super scary. I'll be honest with you. But it's probably the best thing that you can ever do because it forces you to think outside of the box. It forces you to find a way, find a path to make it work. And so as a young man, like this is one of the best things that you can possibly do for yourself, both investing into a mentor and forcing yourself to go all in on something like this, because you essentially put your back against the wall and force yourself to make it work. And like, yes, this is riskier. Yes, this is scarier. But at the end of the day, you're trying to become somebody that's in the top 10% or even higher than that of people in the world in terms of income earners, in terms of the life that you want to live. You're probably looking at somebody who is living a top 5% lifestyle in terms of what you want. And so if you want to become that person, you need to think like that person. If you want to become in the top 5% of income earners and have a top 5% in the world lifestyle, you have to operate like that type of person, which means you have to make decisions that 95% of the world is too scared or is unwilling to make. And I had to come to this realization, especially when I invested into the mentor. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we talk about the bigger picture in all of this is the mental game that I had to endure. So when I started doing high ticket sales, obviously, it wasn't as bad when I was a setter because I was literally just typing messages from the phone. It was super, super easy. But when I transitioned into being a closer, that's where the difficulty stepped up in terms of the mental game. And the reason why there was difficulty is because I was getting on Zoom meetings with business owners. I was selling a B2B offer. So I was selling to online coaches, online experts, and I was helping them run Instagram ads. That was the offer that I was selling for. And so I was getting on calls with people who were in their 40s, who were in their 50s. And oftentimes I heard this actively from people on these calls. They would tell me, why would I listen to you? Why would I take advice from you? Why would I get sold from you when you're 18 years old? I was 18 at the time, and they were in their 50s. Why would they take life advice from me? And I had to genuinely think about this for a second. And honestly, like it almost deterred me from going down this path. I almost just went back to doing full-time appointment setting. How am I going to give these people advice? How am I going to be able to, like, why should they listen to me? Ultimately, though, I had to realize that all of these things that they were trying to use against me, my age, my inexperience, I actually twisted it and started using it to my advantage. Because again, you got to consider I was selling for an offer that taught people how to run Instagram ads. What are people that are older not good at? Technology and social media. Duh. And so I'm like, how can I use this to my advantage? And so whenever I got that problem or whenever that doubt crept in my mind, even just self-inflicted, I started thinking like, dude, I'm young. I understand social media better than some 50-year-old man does. I understand technology better and I have more energy than these people. And so even if I have to go out and learn something, I can figure it out and I can absorb it a lot quicker than somebody who's a lot older. And so I started actually explaining this to people and I started using it to my advantage. And people are like, yeah, dude, you're actually right. Holy shit, I didn't think about that. And so it's like, you have to find a way to whatever insecurities you have, whether it's your looks, whether it's where you grew up, whatever it is, whatever downfalls or whatever negative characteristics you could label about yourself, you need to find a way to twist these and to use these to your advantage. Like if you grew up in a bad environment, find a way to twist that and use that as an extra driver to get to where you want to be. Whatever downfalls, whatever negatives you have about yourself, again, use these to your advantage. Find a way to use these to your advantage. And this is one of the best things that I ever did in terms of the mental game. But until I figured it out, it was honestly really tricky. And so there's a deeper lesson in all of this, which is a lot of people fail with making money online and they call all these business models scams because they go into these business models with the wrong expectations. So you have all these gurus on social media that are just flexing this lifestyle on you. They're saying you can make all this money and it's not going to take that much work and it's going to happen super, super quickly. And then when you do it, you're going to get all these cars and these watches and these women and all this stuff. And so they basically glamorize this lifestyle that you're going to get when you start their business model. So your expectation of that said business model is super, super high. And so when you go in and actually start that business model, and then now you're faced with all the work and all the shit that I just had to explain to you in this video, then you have like your dopamine goes down and you actually don't feel good about the business model. And this is why most gurus on the internet that sell coaching, that sell an online course, that sell a mentorship, and maybe you've even invested in one before, this is why a lot of these people literally have like a 5 to 10% success rate. I kid you not. I've been in lots of programs myself. I've spent over $100,000 on different mentorships, coaching programs, etc. Most of these business models literally have a 5 to 10% success rate. And the reason why is because they market it as if it's going to be the best thing on the planet. It's going to change their life. You can get all these cars and all these women and all these watches and all this stuff. When in reality, what actually takes place is you have to endure all this crap. Maybe not exactly what I shared with you in this video, but something similar to this based on your own life when you try that business model. And so I'm here to tell you right now that making money online when you have the wrong expectations is going to be essentially impossible. If you think that you're going to start a business model and you're going to start making 10K per month in your first month or your second month, and it's only going to take 3 to 4 hours a day of work, I'm here to tell you you're wrong and you will fail. I'm here to tell you though, on the flip side, if you actually have the right expectations and if you say, okay, maybe these gurus are inflating their numbers a little bit. They're making it seem a little bit better than what it actually is. But if you actually set realistic goals, something like making 5K per month in your first 6 months or making 10K per month in your first year, something that actually can happen is realistic on an actual timeline and a track like that. If you set that goal, then if it happens faster, you're going to feel really, really good. And so this is the false premise of the make money online space. And like, you have to understand this before you try a lot of these business models. Like a lot of these gurus really try to hype it up. They say you can make all of this money and it's going to happen super, super quickly. And the reason why they're doing it, like you can think from their perspective, is they're trying to sell you a course or a coaching program. They're trying to sell you something where you join and you pay them money. But the problem is when they do this style of marketing, that's the reason why they have a 5 to 10% success rate. When I'm here to tell you right now, it's going to take you time. It's going to take you a lot of work. You're going to have a lot of uncomfortable decisions you're going to have to make. You're going to have to go through a lot of shit. There's going to be a lot of unglamorous days, especially before you start making 10, 15, 20K per month online. Like when you're in that beginning phase, your days aren't going to be you're not going to be living this lifestyle that you see all over social media. But I am here to tell you that it is possible. And the bigger picture in all of this is that you still should pursue making money online. Absolutely. I wouldn't trade, even though I went through all this stuff, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's the best thing I ever still decided to do. you still should try to make money online, because if you want to make 10K per month, if you want financial freedom, if you want to be able to help out your family, all this stuff, like, it's still the best thing that you can do. Just go into it understanding that you're going to have to go through some of this stuff, and don't think that it's going to be super, super easy like most of these gurus try to tell you. So with that being said, if you're somebody that wants to get started in high ticket sales and you want to get to the point where you're making 10K per month or more online, so again, you can have financial, time, location freedom, and you can retire your parents, you can help out a future family, maybe when you have kids in the future and stuff like that, so on and so forth. Just understand, I can help you do so, but understand that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen super, super quickly. Usually the average student that works with me hits 10K per month in about a year time period, in the 8 to 12 month kind of time frame. So if you actually set a realistic goal and you commit to yourself that you're going to work hard and you're going to work your ass off for 8 to 12 months, then I can 100% help you get started in high ticket sales, get to the point where you're building real skills, real experience, real value, you're making good money, and then setting yourself up where eventually you can run your own business down the line. And if you don't know what high ticket sales is, you can watch some other videos on this channel that talk more about it. But if you're somebody that's looking for that, you can book a call using the link in the description, where I'll personally hold your hand throughout the entire process of helping you make money online, and I'll help you with all of these like mental games and uncomfortable decisions and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm here to tell you guys the truth about the making money online industry. So if you appreciate content like this, if you find it different, drop me a sub, comment down below what you enjoyed about it. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.